This painting is inspired by an old national parks poster for Lassen Volcanic National Park. It said it right across here and across there. I changed it a little bit and I'm going to show you how to make it yourself. So I'll move this one aside and I've got a fresh piece of paper right underneath. And the only thing I've got on it right now is the sort of horizon line that's at about the lower third of my rectangle. So you got a straight line for the horizon, and then a little bit above it, I'm gonna kind of make the swoop that those trees made, but I'll do kind of the shape that trees are. There's our pine trees up in Lassen, so we'll do some kind of points, and trees are uneven, and there we go, a nice little curving line. I hope you can see that. Just some jagged lines going up and down across there. And then what I'm actually gonna do is mirror those lines up here. So that's gonna be a curve going the opposite direction. So I'm gonna draw those same kind of pointy shapes. And if there's anything kind of significant on one side, I would try to include it on the other side. I have this big one here, so I put a big one right there. But now we've got two kind of curving lines. We've got the actual tree line, and then from the foreground, and then the reflection of those trees down here, and what's gonna be a lake or a large body of water. Next, we are going to draw the mountain. So I'll put the top of my mountain at about where the other third line would be, maybe a little bit higher, it's up to you. And then I'm gonna draw just sort of a basic triangle shape up to there, and then up to there from this other side. Just a triangle, making a mountain. All right. Kinda coming down, not perfectly centered, but coming across this mountain, we'll make sort of that jagged edge there. That's gonna be our light side of the mountain, and then our shadow side of the mountain over here. There's maybe a little bit of a space here. Maybe that one's a little bit bigger, that big ridge. But that should pretty much do it. We don't need too much going on in there. And then we're gonna do a little bit of a smoke or kind of a cloud coming up out of the top of the volcano there. Make it split off into two pieces if you want. And then I've got one more cloud up here on this side. Just kind of a big, light, fluffy guy. All right. Oh, one last thing. I need to do the reflection of my mountain, my volcano down here in the water. So I'm gonna draw the line that comes up and then comes back down. And maybe I'll put that same sort of center line between the shadow side and the light side. All right. And then we got the smoke kind of coming off the top of the volcano. There we go. And that's all we got to do for our drawing. All right. Now, my colors I'm using are just black, white, red. This is a brilliant red, but any bright red will do. Lemon yellow, bright yellow, and ultramarine blue. Or, as you can see, it's kind of just the primary colors. Red, yellow, blue, and then some black and white. I gotta get my brush wet so I can wet up these paints. All right. So the first part I'm gonna do is the sky. Let's start with the sky, and to do that, we're gonna do some blue. Get a bunch of blue on there, and then some white. There we go. I make a nice kind of light blue color. Then I'm gonna start at the top of the painting and work my way down, because when the paint's coming off the brush, it's the darkest right at the beginning. So I want that darkest part to be up at the top. And I'm not worried too much about the shapes of anything. I'm just sort of putting big brush strokes where I had my lines from before so I can see my transitions in color. And I'll get a little bit wet so that I can thin it out a lot down here at the bottom. And there we go. We've got the makings of a sky. I'll go back and get a little bit more blue, stir it up with that white so I get a little bit of a darker color up here at the top. I'm gonna try to keep that darkest place consistent. Now I'm just gonna rinse out my brush and let's see what happens if I just kind of pull it back up a little bit. Dry it off over here on a rag. I was watching some Bob Ross videos earlier today, so I'm feeling really excited and ready to paint some happy stuff. There we go. Some nice darker colors on the top. This is, again, I'm using gouache, but if you're using acrylic or whatever else, just blend those colors on down. Add some more white to the bottom. And make yourself a nice little sky. There we go. Pretty happy with that. The next thing I'm gonna paint is the tree line. Oh, actually, before you're all finished with that blue, sorry if you're following along in real time, I'm gonna get a little bit more blue and get it in here down where the water is. And down here I can be real sort of playful with those lines that I put on the page, because water is not ever going to be a nice perfectly smooth surface unless conditions are just perfect. But generally speaking, they're pretty messy. So I'm just going to get some blue nice and light down here, making my water surface on the other side. So there we go. Blue on top, blue on bottom. Next, we'll move into the trees, which I'm going to be using just the blue and then the yellow. Grab some yellow off there, and if you see it, it's already turning green. And I'll mix that back with the blue. Then I'll just go back and forth, whatever you need to do. If you've got green paint, you can also use that. Don't hesitate. Okay, so I'm making a nice kind of, almost a piney green, what I'm going for. And I'm gonna start putting that on the page. And the pine trees are kind of going vertical. So I'm gonna make my lines nice and vertical. There we go. Just making some nice tree strokes. Look at that. That's pretty sweet, huh? Sorry that light's shining on it so much. There we go. Bit of a forest in there. Clean out my brush a little. Let me see if I can get another layer in there. So some more blue. Add a little bit of red this time, just to see what happens. Got a bit of a purple. Need a little bit more blue. Ooh, little splash on there. Got a nice little purple spot in our lake now. Okay, purple. And then let's get some yellow in there. It's real kind of spooky green. And I'll just do another layer right through here. Getting a little bit lower down to my horizon line. And I'm gonna try to get a bunch more yellow. My paint's starting to dry out. Some more blue. Get it back to that more alpine green. Northern California green. Okay, something in there. And then I'll just do one more kind of pass across, making those little vertical tree shapes. And if it goes down a little bit into the water, that is actually okay, because we got to put our tree reflection down here anyway. So I'll do those same kind of vertical lines in the water. But then I think to make it a little bit more like the water, I'm going to put some kind of horizontal lines across it too. Because a lot of the time those reflections get kind of broken up in that messy surface of the water we were talking about earlier. Okay, pretty happy with that. So now, this is where the Bob Ross video really comes in. I was trying to figure out how to make a mountain look like a mountain. Ooh, that man is good. Okay, so this time I'm mixing the blue with the red to get that purple color again. Let's see if I can get this blue going here. The red and the blue, and then a little bit of yellow. When I get all three of them together, I can get this brown. Now I've got kind of that dark brown color, my mountain color. And I am gonna try to again start at the top of my mountain. I'll follow along that stroke I made just to kind of remind myself where it is. But we'll have these dark colors up here, and as you pull it down, hopefully it gets a little bit lighter when it goes down to the bottom of the mountain. We can touch up those trees again in a little bit. So I'm gonna make sure that this mountain gets all the way down in there. I'm trying to keep my strokes all kind of going down the mountain in every direction, because those strokes do kind of show up as your paint dries and it starts kind of settling in. Got a little bit of a extra bump over here. Here we go. We'll just include that. Got a lumpy mountain. Let's do it. Okay, a little bit more blue. Maybe I'll dry it off a little bit. Play with a paper towel. Make sure you got one of these. They can be really helpful. And then let's try to get that line in there. Can barely even see that. Maybe I'll get, for this, I'll get a little bit of my black I got way over here. Play with the colors. I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. There's a really dark one. Really watery though. Let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. Just real lightly. Kind of touching the paint down on the page. And like, I don't know if you can tell, but my brush is really wet right now. So I'm gonna get a little bit more water off it. Get my brush way dry. And then again, kind of pull it up a little bit. Push it around. I don't know what I'm doing. You don't have to know what you're doing. Just kind of play with it. Keep that dark line there though. Because this side, maybe I'll just get a little bit extra black. Kind of let it have some variety and shape to it. See that mountain there? That's what I need. I need a little bit of a light diffuser. Too close. I'll bounce it a little bit. There we go. Now you can kind of see. All right, now with that brown color I made, I'm actually gonna come up here and get some white mixed in with it. some white, some brown. And then I'm gonna, I don't know, contort myself a little bit so I can try to come down on this side with these lighter colors. Still came out pretty dark. So I'll just come back in here, get some more white, try again. Maybe I'll go down like that. Just throwing in some shapes, trying to make this mountain look like a mountain. There, even less light. Some more white. Lots of time there's snow up there on top of Lassen. Maybe we can get some pure white up in there. See what happens. Clean this off. See if I can get down to that pure white. Looking pretty good. And then I'm gonna make sure that I've got some of that brightest white coming down that ridge. Maybe a little bit more in the center. Just to give it those different sort of textures and faces. It comes out better the less you worry about it. I don't know. Ask Bob. You'll have to watch some of his videos. Now I'm gonna get back to that brown color. Because I gotta come down here and get some of my mountain reflected in the water. So I'm just gonna kind of brush in, fill in all that white. Then get back to this paint, get it a little darker. Get these browns going. Oh yeah, I had a little bit of black in it. There we go. That looks really light again. There we go. Get some of those colors in there. Kind of draw in that center peak line, scribble it up a little bit. Add some of those shadows, some of those weird, funny faces to that mountain. Try to make it look like you did. I got some light spots over here, so I'll try to throw in some light spots over here. A little bit dark, a little bit light. Bring that light into the dark. Let me get some fresh white over here. Don't be afraid to use more paint. I've always been afraid to use paint, and then I ended up with nothing. Just use more. It's okay. It's not that expensive. Throw in some highlights down here. Look at that. It's kind of crazy. Now that I got this pure white, man, look at that. Dab some snow up there. Okay. Rinse out. And this, to me, looks like way too much. But at the same time, I don't know. Reflections are all over the place. Just don't worry about it. This is supposed to be fun. Okay. What do we have next? Let's get a little bit of... Oh, that's what I did. On the clouds and in the smoke, we want to get some white and then just a little bit of that blue. Mix in a little bit more white. Got a little bit of that purple in there, it looks like, but that's all right. Just to where you for me, it like honestly doesn't even look like it's that different from white. But when I come in here and I put it on the pure white of the page, it actually looks way darker. So make it as light as you can stand. And then I'm just using kind of the very tip of that brush. What can we see at the very point there? And putting it down and kind of dangling around. Just use the tip of your brush. Throw in some kind of shadow shapes, and like I said, these already to me look darker than I thought they would. So I'm gonna go in and get some more white and try to lighten it up even more. There we go. Looking pretty sweet. If this is my light source on the light side of the mountain, maybe this bottom side of the cloud's gonna be a little bit darker. Now I'm gonna go back, clean off my brush. Water's getting nice and nasty. Lots of colors in there. That's another way that the rag can come in handy, is make sure that you're not getting a bunch of other colors unless you wipe it across all these ones like I just did. So we'll get just some pure white, and then I can kind of go in and cover up little bits of that shadow if I don't like it, and then as I do it, it picks up the colors and kind of makes it another tone of its own. Pretty fun. Just making some cloud shapes. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll have a beautiful lady bring you some fresh water while you're painting. Look at that. So clean. All right. Thank you, Brittany. What do we gotta do? Let's touch up those trees a little bit. Maybe I don't like those. Get some more blue. Some yellow. Get some water on that yellow. This brush just picks up so much water. It's amazing. Gotta be careful with it. Okay. Get that yellow going. The blue going. Uh-oh, got paint on me. There we go. Nice dark green. And then this is something I kind of learned later on, but it does help to paint over the thing you already painted. I thought that would be weird, because I want to be done right away. I don't want to have to keep coming back. But when I keep coming back, it adds more layers. It adds a little bit more texture, a little bit more variety. I kind of like it. Come back in here in this water. Get some more vertical and horizontal kind of lines and shapes. Go back, get another green color. Maybe a brighter green one. Maybe it's got a little bit of red or something in it. Let's see what happens. Ooh, look at that. That's like when some of those trees start to get a little bit old. Some of that old growth going on in there. I don't know. Throw some down on the reflection. One thing we definitely need to put in there is that lower horizon line, that shoreline. So I'll get my brush cleaned up. And I'm gonna get some bright red, some yellow, maybe a little bit of that blue, maybe a little bit of this white, who knows? Until I get a color I want. I kind of want to make like a sandy, maybe like volcanic rock kind of color. Kind of reddish, kind of orange. See what happens. Oh, now it's nice and dark. It's more red. There we go. Starting to like this. Okay. Looks kind of like my mountain. And then somewhere a little bit lower to this bottom curve, like right about there, I'm gonna try to draw in that beach. Start a little bit off my page, go a little bit on, that way when I peel off that masking tape, it looks really clean and cool. There we go. Now, let's get that brushed out. Let's see if we can do what Bob does. Clean off my brush, dry it off, and see if I can kind of, oh, look at that, that's taking the paint off altogether. See if I can kind of lighten up what's going on down here. Sort of distort that lower edge. What would be the reflection? Maybe I'll come back, get a little bit of paint, because it's acting kind of funny. There we go. Look at that, it almost looks like there's some life down there. All right. Happy accidents, right? I like the way that this light kind of looks like there's a little bit of draft coming up that mountain face. That looks sweet. Okay. Let's see if we can play with that water a little bit more. I don't mind some of that bright white in there, because we need that for our, what our sky would be anyway. Get some of that blue. That white. Oh, it looks like I'm gonna need more paint. See, I'm even still too cautious. Just get some paint on the page. Okay, there we go. Get some more blue in there. Look at that. That's like a gray. Put it on there. Leave it alone. Water's got lots of different colors in it. Get a little bit more white. Can you make it work without getting more? Do that. Would you rather get more? Do that. It's supposed to be relaxing. Nice light blue. Maybe I'll add a little bit of water to it. And kind of just go right up over whatever I want to go over. Maybe there's like even some highlights in the water going across the mountain. That wouldn't be weird, would it? They don't stop because there's a mountain there. Look at that. Nice little Mount Lassen. Play with it if you want to keep playing with it. Leave it alone if you're all done. Put some birds in there. Ooh, let's see if I can put a bird in there. I don't know if I can with this brush. I have an extra teeny tiny brush you can use for that. This little itty bitty guy. Maybe I'll get dark blue or a little bit of black on it. Up in here and just do classic little V's. Just a couple of little birds. Get a little bit more paint. Draw a bird on this side. Maybe a bird's flying up this way. I don't know. What do birds do? Where do they go? Do they fly at Mount Lassen? You know it. Then I get my teeny tiny brush in a color that's kind of like it, but a lot darker. And I write my name down at the bottom. There we go. Hopefully yours came out in a way that you're happy with. Oh no. Careful with that masking tape. A lot of the time it wants to destroy my paper. But if you have that problem, if you just pull the tape back flat against the desk instead of up and away, it usually helps prevent it. Brittany's saying that you can also heat it up with a hairdryer or something, and that'll keep it. It sort of deactivates the glue. See, otherwise you get these big scraps of the paper that come off. But again, not super worried about it. These are for fun. And if you put it in a frame or up on the wall, you don't really notice those little pieces anyway. There you have it. Mount Lassen Volcanic National Park. Hopefully you enjoy. Have a good time.